Hello, I'm Senator Ray Cleary, and again I want to thank you for visiting my website. Today the object of the talk is education, especially the aspect of a minimal education in South Carolina. So let me explain to you my thoughts on that issue, because it's going to be coming up over the next 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years. There is a push by many in the state and a push by a certain group of legislators to change the Constitution. Because right now our Constitution means that we will provide a minimal education to the children of South Carolina. Now, I don't believe anybody that is out there watching this video, I don't believe that anybody in the legislature, I don't believe that any person that I've ever talked to would want to say that that's all we really want to provide is a minimal education. Okay? We want more. We want the best for our children. We want the best education possible. We want a triple star, excellent, A, B, C, D, the best education system that we can provide to our children. But why this issue? Why this issue now? And the answer is several years ago there was a lawsuit about funding of education. And basically the court system got in and said that we have to fund education more in South Carolina in the preschool years. But the judge said that because the Constitution said that we could only and needed only to provide a minimal education, he could not delve deeper into what the requirements should be for the state to fund education. Now, as an aside, what I want to tell you is this. Right now in the Southeast, South Carolina funds education at the 4th highest level. Correct, we are the 4th state out of the 13 or 14 states as far as funding education at the state level. In the last 12 years, student population in this state increased by 4.5%. However, state funding has increased by over 68%. We are doing a good job in funding education, which is different than getting education results. And that's another issue. So the question I've got is, what happens by changing the wording in the Constitution? If we could just change the word in the Constitution from minimal to superior, would our children be educated superiorly overnight? Would all of a sudden we be number 1 or 2 in the country in SATs? Would basically everybody want our students? I don't believe that's the case, and I don't believe anybody watching that would believe that changing one word in the Constitution would mean that. So what effect would have changing the word in the Constitution mean? The effect would be that we might have to fund education at an extremely higher level, that they could then go back into the court systems and say, look, you are not funding education at the level you should be funding it because you want to fund it as a superior education. And superior education means you should get superior results. Well, 50 cents out of every dollar that we charge in taxes goes to education. That's right, 50 cents out of every dollar. Now, even with that, the governors in South Carolina have no control over education because our education department is run by the head of education, who is an elected official like agriculture or like attorney general. He is elected directly by the people, so he is not responsive to the governor or the legislature, except from the aspect that we control his purse strings. Inez Tenenbaum, 5 or 6 years ago when she was in charge of education in South Carolina, told our legislator and the governor that for just $3 billion more, she could provide the needs and the care of what she thought would be a great system. In fact, when Governor Sanford asked her to prioritize those 20 or 25 different projects for $3 billion, which are the ones that are critical, which are the ones that aren't as critical, her comment back was, they're all critical. Well, that's a nice thing to say. So if you only fund $1 billion more or $2 billion more and you don't get better results, is it because you didn't fund the other third? Dr. Jim Rex, who I have a lot of respect for, again looked at the system. And I think he only felt like he needed about $2.7 billion more to get the results we want. Okay. So let's not say he's wrong or right. Let's see that if we did change the Constitution and we had to fund the $2.7 billion more, where would the money come from? Well, according to people in the finance department, we would have to raise the sales tax in South Carolina by 6 or 7 additional pennies. So if you're in a county that's paying 6 cents, you'd be paying 12 cents. I don't believe that the legislature would ever do that or be around the next time there was an election if they ever did. The other way you can do it, which is the way that they envision this funding occurring, is through a state property tax. Now, you just remember that in one of the videos I talked about how we reduced the property tax on your bill by the 1 cent sales tax, and we reduced the property tax by doing the school issue. Well, if we create a property tax in this state for schools in this state, basically what will occur is that the schools along the coast, the counties along the coast, Horry County, Georgetown County, Charleston County, especially Beaufort County, some of the schools in the city areas of Greenville and that's where they see higher property values, and that's where they see property values rising. So over time, those areas would be basically funding 80% of the school system, and the rural areas would be funding 20%. What's a little bit more scary is that those legislators in the rural areas could be upping and upping and upping what the requirements were, because, you know, it's not a problem spending gold or spending monies, especially if they're not yours. You know, it's not a problem for me to tax somebody in Marion or tax somebody in Columbia. So that opens up another issue that kind of scares me, because as Ross Perot says, that giant sucking sound will be monies and dollars from the coast going to fund the inland. In Georgetown County alone, the Waccamaw Neck area funds about 89% of county and other aspects of government in Georgetown County. And that's right. And the majority of votes aren't there. But if you think about it, the Waccamaw Neck area and how, you know, relatively rich that is compared to the rural, you know, areas of Georgetown, they get a disproportionate funding, much like Beaufort County. Hilton Head funds probably 90–95% of the entire county. So when you talk about changing minimal education to a superior education, the two issues that I would ask you to consider is, first, by changing just a letter, a name, a word in a constitution, is that really going to make a difference? And I think the other thing that we did not talk about today is it about the money? When we threw a lot of money at poverty to solve poverty, you know, with the War on Poverty, but with Lyndon Johnson, we realized that throwing money at something doesn't work. And I think those are issues that we have to look at. And that's when you get into charter schools and you get into these other options that may be having to look at if this public schools can't do their job. But my kids went to public high schools. I believe in public high schools, but at the same point in time, it's very difficult to see a public high school that has failed, and then obligate a child to go there. The education issue has to be addressed. I don't have a great answer for it, but truthfully, changing a word in a constitution is not the way that I think it needs to be taken care of. Again, thank you for this video. Hope it didn't run long, and I'd ask you to come visit, email me, write me, and if you've got any questions or would like to see a specific video or whatever, please give us a call. Again, thank you again. Have a good day.